Hey everyone, it's me, Arthur Kade, for Celebrity Page, taking you behind the velvet rope with President Elizabeth Keane, aka Elizabeth Marvel, on Season 6 of Homeland. Get ready for a great time. Hey everyone, it's me, Arthur Kade. I like your strategy, Elizabeth Marvel. You couldn't get elected president on one hit show,
That's right.
So you're like, let me jump ship to another hit show.
Move over to another network.
What a
and
strategy.
Then I'll win. That's
unbelievable. Right. You're like, I'm going to go from one of the hottest shows on TV to another one of the hottest shows on TV and get promoted.
That's right.
I love it. What an agent you've got.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So, Homeland. Little known show, 6 seasons in. I mean, how crazy is it? You're the female president on a monster like Homeland.
That's right. It's the best. It's the best, and it films in New York City, so couldn't be better.
That's what you care about. You're like, I get to go home, have dinner, see my family. Forget the shows. Yeah, like who cares? Who cares if people see me? Like, I get to sleep in my own bed. I understand. Listen, when you've been acting for years, you're like, that's what I care about, right?
It's a big deal. And when you have little kids, I've got a young son, so I want to be home. So it's great.
It's funny because one of the people in our office here saw you in the hallway, and he goes, is that, what's her name from House of Cards? And I'm like, she's also on Homeland now. So as an actress, when you're on these two shows that everybody watches, is it crazy to you?
It's wonderful. It's fantastic. And to get to message being a smart, strong female leader right now is really wonderful. It's exciting.
When you look at Homeland, it's incredible to see how this show tackles topics that are so relevant today. Talk to me about being able to be part of a project like that where, they're touching on terrorism, they're touching on national security, really important stuff.
Well, it's intense. It's very visceral for our viewers. You can, the experience of the fans of the show, the response we get is very intense because it is they're stories that are happening and unfolding around us every day. And this season, especially, I think, is so prescient and is going to really grab a hold of people because it's about exactly what we're in right now, the 72 days of the transition period when the new president has been elected before they take office. And we've all been hyper tuned into this in a new way that I think than we've ever been before, this transition period. And that is what this season is about.
You're this female president, and we're coming off the craziest election in the history of mankind. Talk to me about, obviously we didn't see Hillary Clinton get elected, but to be able to play a female president on television, there's meaning behind that.
There's great meaning at this moment. I'm so proud and pleased to be messaging a female leader. I do believe if you can see it, you can be it. So putting that out there for young men and women, I'm very proud of it at this time.
House of Cards. I've got to talk to you about Spacey. This Spacey guy, I sit there, I'm not an actor. You could know nothing about acting, and you can understand how good him, Robin, Mahershala, who's going to win the Oscar this year, by the way.
And absolutely should, and is a magnificent human being as well as being coolest. A great actor. He's a lovely man. The great thing about Kevin, I'll tell you, and not everyone may know this. Yes, he's a great actor. Absolutely. But Kevin is a wildly generous actor. And the thing about Kevin is that everything he does in his close-up on his side, he gives you just as much when the camera's off him. And I don't think that is put out there enough. And so, yes, he's excellent, but he elevates everyone's performance on that show because he gives as good as he gets, but he gives you so much when he doesn't have to, and not everyone does that.
You went from that cast to this cast. Right? I just spoke with the cast of Homeland. Claire, Mandy, F. Murray, or as he likes to be called, Murray.
Yes.
Is it crazy when you're going from one cast to the other? You're a veteran actress. I mean, you've worked with some great people, but it's an embarrassment of riches.
It is an embarrassment of riches, and it makes my job very easy, and it makes my job extremely joyful because I get to go and I work with the best the best. And I've gotten to do it now 4 years in a row. I've had these incredibly talented casts that I've just gotten to jump right into. It's fantastic.
People become so attached to these shows. I've talked to so many actors and actresses who have either been part of iconic shows or played iconic characters. And it feels like the public can sometimes not separate the actor from the role. Do you have that happen sometimes? Do people come up to you, especially with House of Cards, because that show is so viral, and they're like, I hated you or I love you?
Well, people, when they realize it's me, they are very impassioned, but I am a very different person in my life than I play on TV. So people often think, wow, what I hear a lot is, you look exactly like that actress who plays Heather Dunbar, or you look exactly like that actress playing the president-elect, which is fantastic because I am a New Yorker and I ride the subway and I live a life. And so I don't have it constantly coming at me. Once they decode that it is me, it's a different experience. And actually, I've gotten to play two really righteous, brave, fabulous women. So
who don't hold anything back.
Who don't hold anything back, but I have not received negative backlash from people. People are very enthusiastic about these women.
I remember when they announced, I think it was last summer, I read in Variety when they announced that you'd be playing Elizabeth Keane on Homeland. When that role is offered to you, knowing how current that situation was with Senator Clinton about to break the glass ceiling that she broke, does that further push you to want to take a role like that? Like, does that make that decision easier?
That's an interesting question. I hadn't thought of it from that perspective. Does it make it easier? I mean, what is better than being offered to play the leader of the free world? That's
a game changer.
That's a game changer. It's just the greatest. It's the greatest. You're the winner. You run the free world. So, that didn't change my enthusiasm one way or the other. But it definitely turns the temperature up on it in a different way.
I love that answer. I love that. That's like the soundbite right there. It turns the temperature up. You just turned playing the female president into cooking. I love it. So what's everybody getting with this new season of Homeland? A couple things that I love personally. It returns to New York.
Yeah.
I love your addition. But what's everybody else getting with this show?
Well, they're getting the return of Quinn, which is great, and people love that character. But they're getting a lot more, I think, of, Carrie's personal journey, her life, or her personal life. And they're getting to look more at the national landscape within the United States because we're tracking this transition period. And we're also looking a lot at, the guts of the machinery of what goes on between the intelligence community and the president-elect. And that is some fascinating stuff.
Everybody is keeping a very keen eye right now to what's going on through this transition process. I'm sure there must have been 1 million pounds of research put into making it as authentic in Homeland compared to real life. What did you learn as you're filming this and showing us this transition process? What did you learn that you may have not known before about the difficulties, the advantages, what these people go through as president-elect?
Well, again, as I've said, I'm an expert on nothing except maybe myself, maybe my son. He would argue that point. But, I'm just an actor. But doing the research has been fascinating and amazing. And, the landscape that they're dealing with is international whack-a-mole. Every 2 seconds, there's another crisis, there's another issue. So just being inundated with that kind of tsunami of information and responsibility is, quite frankly, inconceivable to me. But I have to wrap my creative mind around it, which is a thrilling exercise, by the way. Something that has become very clear to me, which I don't think I fully understood, is that our system really functions as a three-legged stool, that you have the executive branch, you have the military, and you have the intelligence community. And those three legs of the stool must be balanced and must be equally holding the weight. And they're of equal import to how we go forward in this society. So that's been fascinating. How the intelligence community briefs the president-elect, the president, how that evolves with each individual that steps into that office is fascinating. I always assumed that there was a protocol, that's how it was done, that's how it's always been done, but it's not true. Depending on the customer, which is what they call the president, the intelligence community tailors it to that individual. So, for example, when George W. was president, he was a man who was always on the move. And so they learned to condense and be mobile. And so where he went, they went. And often it was just one briefer. And, they might have to go jogging with him. And that's how the brief was delivered that day. Other individuals have preferred a more, boardroom style with many briefers present, providing different insights, different points of view. It's tailored to the individual. And so it's a process for them as well as the incoming president, which was a process that I did not know about and has been very interesting to learn.
I've been asking everybody, the inauguration is Friday. We're saying goodbye to one. We're saying hello to another. What are your thoughts on saying goodbye to President Obama and saying hello to President-elect Trump?
Well, I think President Obama, I am not saying goodbye to him. I am very excited to see what the next chapter holds for the Obamas, especially Barack Obama. I think that he will be very active in the future, and I'm excited to see what he does next. Yes.
She's like, I'm good right there. Every president has a code name. What would Elizabeth Keane's code name be? I had to ask. I love the whole code name thing. What would yours be?
Well, it's very funny. The head of my Secret Service on the show is this lovely actor, James, and he's nicknamed me Big Taco. So whenever it was Big Apple, my code name on the show is actually Big Apple, but amongst the actors, they call me Big Taco because I guess there was an afternoon that I rushed back from craft services with a little salsa on my face. So now I'm Big Taco.
I love that. I had Brandi Glanville in here, who is a well-known reality star, and we were talking about aging in Hollywood. And we had such a great conversation because she talked about how when she first started in the business, she sees pictures of herself and she was this young woman. And now she sees herself 9 years later. She's still a gorgeous young woman, but she sees that she's aged. As an actress, when you see yourself in terms of development of roles as you get older, how does that change? How do you change?
That's a great question. I mean, it's a wonderful time. I have to say, it's a wonderful time for me as a woman in my 40s because look at the roles I'm getting to play. Look at what they're writing for me. It's amazing. Because I also, I was on season 2 of Fargo, doing a very different type of female, but yet fascinating character. So it's really a golden age for television and for women who are strong and smart and bold. There's great stuff out there. It's just, if we're lucky, we get to grow old in this profession. How wonderful is that? And at each stage, yes, the roles are different as we are different. And I'm just very glad to be living in a time where women are so well represented. There was something that was very exciting about being on the House of Cards set, because I'd go to work and I'd look around and there were many other women my age or older on that set playing smart, strong people. And you can't really look too far back and be able to say that much about a lot of entertainment.
Was that a concern years ago? Were you concerned personally, hey, I'm not going to be able to get roles at a certain point?
No, I understand what you're saying. And yes, I think it has been a concern. I think it depends on the kind of actor you are. I've always been a character actor, so I was never worried about my youth and beauty. It was never the commodity I was selling. I was always, much more character-based. And so when I get cast in a role, it's because of what I bring to the role, not how I look. Or the roles I play could be 60, they could be 30. They're not age dependent. It's just a matter of sort of whatever quality it is that I'm bringing to it. So in a way, I'm fortunate that I kind of live outside of that.
I'm always fascinated with nice people who are actors because you're nice. I can tell. I can tell you're nice. I can tell when people aren't nice.
Raised me well.
You're nice. How much fun is it to become these women who aren't so nice all the time? I would imagine it's fun, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be fun to be devious, right?
It certainly is.
Is it a whole different side?
Of course. I mean, that's why we love Shakespeare is, who doesn't want to play Richard III? Of course. It's so freeing. It's so freeing and so wildly fun to get to be in the completely taboo terrain. Yeah. It's fun.
We're seeing right now, the example right off the top of my head is there's a HBO miniseries coming out called Big Little Lies that's produced by Reese Witherspoon. We're seeing some of the biggest stars in Hollywood right now, women, who are influencing what's happening on television at a rate that's never been seen before. How exciting is it to see these enormous stars, these female enormous stars, making a bigger and bigger and bigger difference? It feels like daily on television and in film.
It's wonderful, and it's necessary. It is so important, but it's also reflective of what I see happening nationally, not just in our industry, but I see amongst all individuals a deeper and more urgent engagement in being involved in our communities, being involved in the conversation, moving the conversation forward, getting women represented in roles that are stronger, but also engaging in women in the workplace. Our education system, there's just a deeper engagement across the country that I see happening that makes me extremely hopeful.
You're awesome. Everybody make sure to check out season 6 of Homeland. Like she said, you don't get any better than the president, right? So congratulations, Elizabeth Marvel. I can't wait to see the rest of the season. I love the direction they're going, and it's a really welcome return for the show. So congratulations.